This week, I take my most bizarre flight yet as I fly through one of the most reclusive countries on the planet, experience an empty $2 billion mega airport, well, apart from these guys, and discover how it's possible to stand up drinking throughout the entire takeoff as I spend 2 days on board Turkmenistan Airlines. Crazy. Welcome to Turkmenistan. Well, good morning and guten tag from a freezing cold Frankfurt airport. There's literally snow on the ground. It's -7. Today, I am super stoked and excited because I'm about to take a flight through one of the most secretive and difficult to access countries in the whole world, because today I'm taking a flight on the national airline of Turkmenistan. Now, you would not believe how difficult it's been to book this flight today on Turkmenistan Airlines. You can't book on their website. They really don't like people trying to book their flight. So you've got to sort of find really random ways to do it. And I ended up finding an online travel agent in Turkey, believe it or not. It just seemed dodgy as heck, and the bank declined the payments and all sorts. But in the end, I managed to get a ticket. So we need to see if that ticket's going to actually work now. And we've got to go and get to the Turkmenistan Airlines check-in desk here at Frankfurt. So it says check-in for Turkmenistan is at desk 889 and 890. Well, as far as I can see, we're going to go up to 869. Welcome to Frankfurt. Eventually I found the check-in desk and it was time to see if they'd let me onto the plane. Turkmenistan is almost entirely closed off to the outside world, so you usually need an invitation from the government to travel there. I was just hoping that I'd be able to transit through. Checking in, please. Thank you.
Invitation.
Bangkok.
Das ist die Einladung.
Einladung muss anders sein.
Ja,
Das ist
invitation.
keine Einladung.
Is your final destination Ashgabat?
No, Thailand. Bangkok.
Ja, weiter checken.
Bangkok.
Das ist
Okay,
Bangkok.
it's another thing. Any bags for check?
No bags to check in, I'll take carry-on. So.
Yeah, how many kilos? Is
Zwei
okay?
Rucksäcke geht nicht.
Sorry, just cabin. Yeah.
This is a cabin, but this
Yeah.
they fly in the yacht class.
It's
Okay?
business?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Everything fine.
Yeah, okay.
Siehst du, das wollte ich nicht sagen. Warum verstehst du mich nicht? Yacht oder See? Okay, also the boss said this is okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
D8 is your gate number.
Yes.
Boarding time 3:20.
Okay.
You have a window seat
Perfect, thank you. And do I get the next boarding pass in
in Ashgabat.
Ashgabat? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, thank you. All right then, there we go. Checked in for Turkmenistan Airlines. As far as Ashgabat, anyway, apparently I've got to get a new boarding pass there for my onward journey. A little bit nerve-wracking, but hey, we're good for now. We've at least got one flight on Turkmenistan, if nothing else. I am getting a little bit nervous now. So you don't get lounge access with business class on Turkmenistan Airlines, but I have used my priority pass to come into the, which lounge is this? The prime class lounge here at Frankfurt, which is quite nice. And there's barely anybody in here, which is nice. And they've got a few little bits of snacky foods and things to eat. All right then, so here goes. Time to head to the gate and get on my plane to Turkmenistan. Eek, I'm a bit scared. Hello. How are you?
Hello.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. Here we are.
Thank you. Oh, there she is. The beautiful Turkmenistan Airlines 777-200 LR. It's going to take me across to Ashgabat right now, and then we got something very cool as well to take us onwards from there. Fingers crossed it all goes well in Turkmenistan. But yes, really excited. Let's go and get on board. Hello.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So here I was then, there was no turning back as I made my way down to see what was in store on Turkmenistan Airlines, and I'm not going to lie, I was probably more nervous for this flight than any other that I'd taken before. Hello there, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you, 1J.
1J, yes. Right
All right,
side.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry. Hello.
We need my badge.
How are you? Turkmenistan's 777 has 28 angle flat seats in a 232 config in business class with a further 263 economy seats behind. It's pretty outdated, but this was only a 5-hour flight. Here we are then, welcome on board the Turkmenistan Airlines Boeing 777-200 LR. It's one of the last two 777-200 LRs that they made. Turkmenistan picked them up cheap because nobody else wanted them. So yeah, here we are. Legroom's pretty decent there. We've got the Turkmenistan logo all up the wall. A bit of a TV there. Table comes out here. Don't know if there's power or not. Oh yeah, there's power down there. USB and a 3-pin plug as well. Very nice. Seat controls down here. It's not too bad. Crew seem quite friendly so far as well. Let's not wear that friendliness out though, eh? We'll be on our way very soon. Under my footrest were a pillow and a blanket, as well as some lovely Turkmenistan Airlines slippers. The crew came around with cups of apple juice before we left the gate, which was a slightly strange concoction, but the thought was there at least. Right, so boarding's complete. There's nobody at the side of me, which is quite nice. It's quite busy. Quite a busy flight, actually, in business class. I'm trying to be careful not to wave my camera around too much. It's not too bad, actually. Quite busy here in business class. We'll see what the next flight's like when we get there to Turkmenistan. But yeah, looks like we're getting on our way. The safety demo was played, as well as an announcement that said that drinking alcohol and taking photos out the window was strictly prohibited, which I found slightly worrying. A part of me was left wondering if we'd have another situation like my Russian Antonov flight that saw a flight attendant sitting next to me to make sure I didn't take any photos. As we taxied out to the runway, I had a feeling this might become a very long flight. But of course there was no going back now, as we made our way out to the runway on an unstoppable plane to one of the most reclusive countries on the planet. My first flight tonight then took me southeast out of Germany, across Austria, Hungary, Romania and the Black Sea, before crossing Georgia, Azerbaijan and the Caspian Sea towards Ashgabat. Flight time tonight was 4 hours and 48 minutes, cruising at 35,000 and 37,000 feet. Alright, then we are airborne from Frankfurt on the Turkmenistan 777-200 LR. What a takeoff that was. Incredible. I love it when you can just, like, you know, on a day where you can just lift off from the ground and within seconds you're above the clouds. Crazy. Love it. Anyway, we are heading east now towards Ashgabat in Turkmenistan as the sun's just starting to set behind us. So far, so good. Cabin crew pretty friendly. Seats pretty comfy. It's not too bad. Not too shabby so far. I had a look through the in-flight entertainment and there wasn't a massive choice. They had single episodes of a few Western shows such as Friends and of course Young Sheldon, but all of them were heavily censored, with every word that could possibly be seen as slightly offensive cut out completely. One thing that was pretty cool though was the external cameras, even though you couldn't really see a lot. As always though, the best in-flight entertainment was to be found by looking out of the window, even though under penalty of Turkmen law, this sunset was of course highly sensitive and classified, and I'm not really supposed to show it to you, but here it is anyway. It's pretty sweet, isn't it? One thing that really shouldn't be kept a secret though is the in-flight meal. It's a chicken dish with noodles and, well, it's a bit of an unusual concoction and it was a little bit dry, but actually I have to say it wasn't too bad.
It's time for the Noel Phillips Lou Review.
This is the middle lav on the 777-200. We've got like a bit of a mirror there, a fancy sink, quite, well, nice really. Some hand wash, a solitary cup there, and the toilet down there, and it's relatively clean. We are about halfway through the flight now. The loo is still pretty clean considering that this is in the middle, so we've got economy and business class all using the same loo. See, so far the crew have been pretty nice. I'm still being quite nervous about making video and stuff and trying to flaunt, you know, trying not to flaunt the camera too much and things like that a little bit, but equally they're pretty friendly from my interactions with them so far anyway. They've been coming around, the food was nice and everything, so yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see what it's like when we get down into Ashgabat. We'll see what it's like when we get down into Turkmenistan in a little while. Also, I need to pick up my boarding pass when we get down there for Bangkok as well, because they only gave me a boarding pass as far as Ashgabat in Frankfurt. But anyway, I'm going to head back to my seat and chill, watch some Big Bang Theory, and then, yeah, try and enjoy the rest of the flight.
That was the Noel Phillips Lou Review.
As the sun started to set over the Alps, things were going quite well, I thought. I'd had a nice meal, I'd watched an episode of Friends from the late 90s, and I was an hour into the flight and I hadn't even been told off yet. All that, though, was about to change as I started to talk about Turkmenistan.
Now, see, one of the things that I'm really nervous about going to Turkmenistan.
And yeah, at this point I was approached by the lead flight attendant who told me that I'd been reported to her and I had to stop filming immediately. And to be honest, she didn't seem like the sort of person I wanted to get annoyed with me, so I had to be fairly discreet for a rather awkward few hours until we landed in Turkmenistan where, well, to be honest, I wasn't sure what would happen. You see, as a country, Turkmenistan's often called the North Korea of the former USSR, and, well, here's a quick summary to explain why that is. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Turkmenistan gained independence in 1991 and quickly got its first dictator, President Niyazov, who soon declared himself president for life, which is, well, never really a good sign, is it? He named himself Turkmenbashi, meaning head of the Turkmen, and subsequently named half the towns in Turkmenistan after himself and his family, as well as the days of the week, months of the year, and even the word for bread to be his mum's name. During his reign, he banned everything from car radios to beards, lip-syncing, dogs, TV presenters from wearing makeup, as well as declaring a national holiday of Melon Day in honour of his favourite food, melons. He was replaced by a guy named Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedow after he died in 2007. Yeah, try saying that after you've had a few, who was Turkmenbashi's dentist. Aside from erecting golden statues of himself, he only really renamed a few states after himself, banned cars that weren't white, and he had his image plastered on board every Turkmenistan Airlines plane, although it seems to have been removed now. Today, Turkmenistan's got one of the worst human rights records on the planet. The internet's mostly banned apart from a few exceptions, and all mass media is state-controlled. Reporters Without Borders placed it at 177 out of 180 countries for press freedom, just above North Korea and slightly below Syria. Oh, and photographs and alcohol are all banned on the state airline. In theory though, as I would find out later. But as we started our approach, I was feeling pretty nervous. You see, I had no idea whether the head flight attendant had called ahead when she caught me filming because, well, who knows what really happens in places like this. I figured as I'd been caught already, I might as well see what other footage I could get when we landed, so I filmed the entire landing down into Turkmenistan. The hill you can see in the background, by the way, is the one they make every citizen of Ashgabat climb once a year to show their loyalty to Turkmenistan. Well, apart from the president, of course, because he goes up in a helicopter. So here we were then in Ashgabat, the capital of Turkmenistan, hopefully for just a couple of hours between flights. But time would tell if that forecast would be accurate. It was time to get off the plane and see what Turkmenistan had in store for me.
Yes, thank you.
And as I stepped off the plane into the cold night, there was my first guard. He let me straight past, so I wondered if things might actually be okay. Now, it was actually pretty cool getting off a 777 via air stairs, but I didn't really want to start waving a camera around in front of half the Turkmen military, so I had to suck it up as I headed over to the bus. The bus took us over to one of the strangest airports I've ever been in. This airport's only a few years old and cost over $2 billion US. Yet it only sees a handful of flights a day and it's for the most part completely empty. It's a beautiful airport to walk through though, even if it is all a little bit surreal with guards watching your every move through the building. It was soon time to find out how to transit though, and it wasn't long before I came across something I actually hadn't worried about until this stage, a COVID checkpoint in 2024. You see, to enter Turkmenistan you still need a COVID test and, well, I didn't have one because I wasn't entering Turkmenistan. Worse still, I'd had COVID a few weeks before taking this flight, and although I was long clear by now, I know that some tests can still take a month or two to register you as negative. The question was, what would happen if I had to take a test and it still came back positive? As I pondered this problem, I was thankfully pulled aside and sent to a different room where I'd get my transit boarding pass.
Hi, transfer. Okay. Hello. Transit to Bangkok. It's possible to get a window seat, please. Yeah, if possible. Thank you.
Yep, despite my nerves, I always manage to try and wangle a window seat.
Beijing, mister.
Bangkok.
Bangkok. Window.
Yes, please. If possible.
Business.
Business class, yeah. Thank you. Spasibo, thank you.
And success. Next it was time for the world's easiest security checkpoint, which consisted of me walking straight through with all my belongings, setting off all the alarms and then being sent on my way with a nod. And if this airport had been strange on the way in, well, it was even stranger in departures with not a soul in sight, well, apart from the guards. The airport was built to handle 14 million passengers a year, or in other words, 1,600 passengers an hour. Instead, it sees an average of just 100, which is, by passenger numbers, roughly the same amount as Omaha, Nebraska. Despite being almost nobody here, the guards watch you intently as you walk through, which all felt a little bit dystopian. Eventually I got to my gate and I took a seat as far away from the guards as possible in the hope of not being spotted doing a quick piece to camera.
Alright then, welcome to the incredibly cool airport here at Ashgabat in Turkmenistan. This place is just immense. Just look at this. And there's barely anybody here. There's like 2 flights going this time of night. But there is a business class lounge I would have loved to try, but my flight is literally boarding in 10 minutes to Bangkok, so I really don't have any time. I don't want to risk it because I can't really get stuck here because there's no way in. So yeah, that's where we're at the minute. But yeah, next stop, Bangkok with Turkmenistan on the 777. I think it's a 300 as well.
Pretty soon it was time to say goodbye to this surreal airport and get on board the flight to Bangkok, which, as it turned out, would turn into an altogether even more surreal experience.
Hello, how are you? Good evening.
12A.
Yeah.
Right to Bangkok is the newest addition to Turkmenistan's fleet, this 777-300 that was flying for Cathay Pacific until very recently. The business class has these lovely lie-flat beds that are a vast improvement over the 777-200 I'd flown in on. I took my first seat for the night in seat 12A.
This one here, yeah? Okay, perfect, thank you.
Alright then, on board the Turkmenistan 777-300. It appears I'm the only passenger in business class. Sadly though, that would not turn out to be the case, as a bunch of drunk passengers got on with a bottle of whiskey. Despite alcohol being banned on Turkmenistan Airlines, the crew quickly furnished them with glasses and the passengers continued drinking and chatting with the crew all around my seat, so I asked to be moved away from them. But as we taxied out to the runway, they remained standing up and chatting with the crew, and in perhaps the first time I've ever seen this happen, remained standing up in the aisle drinking throughout the entire takeoff roll. Somehow, miraculously, they didn't even fall over, and even more miraculously, they didn't even spill a drop. But regardless of drunk passengers drinking their way through a flight on a dry airline, and perhaps the most blatant safety breach I've ever seen on a flight before, all seemingly endorsed by the crew at that, I was just happy to be on my way out of Turkmenistan and on my way to Thailand, where at least I'd be able to enter the country, even if the drunk guys weren't calling it a night just yet. I've never seen in my life a plane take off with passengers and cabin crew still stood chatting in the aisles, just hanging on for dear life as we go down the runway. That was just something else, honestly. Crazy. Welcome to Turkmenistan. My next leg then took us south into Iran before turning to the east across Pakistan and into India, cutting across to the Bay of Bengal. From there we crossed Myanmar into Thailand with a flight time of 5 hours and 56 minutes, cruising at 33 and 35,000 feet. We are still at the beginning of a brand new year, which means that there's still time to come up with the things that we'd like to achieve over the coming year. For me, one of my biggest things is to be a little bit more efficient with my filming, meaning I can spend more time here at home with the family and less time out flying on sketchy airlines. I'm planning to finally finish my instrument rating this year, which will be quite nice for when the weather's not like this. And I want to spend more time having fun doing exciting things.
I've also been working hard to try and get healthy, not only physically but mentally too. And one of my big goals this year is to try and stop other people's negativity impacting on my happiness, be it from the ever-present online trolls or just other people in my life. And for that reason, I'm grateful to this week's sponsor, BetterHelp. See, BetterHelp have got a network of over 30,000 licensed therapists who can help you get right to where you need to be. And the best part about it is it's all done online, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home. And getting started on BetterHelp is just as easy as using the service. You see, you just go on the website, answer a few questions, and pretty soon you're matched with a licensed therapist who you can start chatting to through live chats and online video calls and stuff like that. The best part is, if you don't get on with that therapist and they're not a match for you, well, you can chop and change at any point with no hard feelings. BetterHelp are offering you 10% off your first month when you use my promo code Noel at betterhelp.com/Noel. That's betterhelp.com/NOEL. Alright, so I've woken up, managed to get another 2 hours sleep there. Woken up, I think we're somewhere over India. There's no flight map. I've just loaded up a full flight and we're over Nagpur in India. But breakfast has come, and I'll say it's breakfast. It's beef and pasta and things. So it's not really breakfast per se, but it's effectively breakfast. So yeah, let's get tucked in. Gotta admit, don't taste brilliant at this time of the morning. It's not really breakfast food. My brain isn't in the mood for beef yet, but I'm super impressed that I finally got a chance to ride on Turkmenistan Airlines. This is the third time that I've had them booked. My original flight I had booked with them was way back in 2019. I was going to be flying back with them from Kazakhstan back to Birmingham, but then my Scat Airways flight was delayed and I ended up missing my connection and having to come back on Lufthansa. Then I had them booked again, but then they got banned in the EU. Since then, their website has just been, you've not been able to get a flight booked with them anywhere. They shut down entirely during COVID. The whole of Turkmenistan literally had no flights going in and out for about a year and a half. Turkmenistan Airlines effectively went into standby mode and didn't do any flights whatsoever, and now they're starting to come back again, but you still can't book them direct with the airline. There is only one that I've found that will sell tickets on Turkmenistan. For the most part they don't, but I found that one that did, and I'll put a link to that at the end of the video. But yeah, it's great to be on board Turkmenistan for the first, probably the last time. I don't know if I'm ever going to get a chance to ride them again, but they're so flipping cool, even though it is a little bit sketchy. They're still pretty cool.
And that's it really. As much as flying on airlines like Turkmenistan feels really sketchy, and at any point I felt like I could have been pulled aside by a scary Turkmen guard, it was fascinating to get a glimpse into this hermit kingdom, if only for a few hours. The chance to get a flight with Turkmenistan Airlines still felt incredibly cool, even if it was a little bizarre. And that's the thing, because here you have a country operating one of the world's longest range aircraft, the 777-200LR, when they don't have a single destination more than 6 hours away. They've got Boeing's largest 777 in their fleet, flying with no passengers on board, and to top it off, a $2.3 billion mega airport with hardly any passengers. It all feels pretty crazy, and almost to this outsider, like the entire operation is one huge vanity project for Turkmenistan's government to make them look a little bit better on the world stage. Because after all, a guy who changes the name of something like bread to be his mum's name probably is the sort of person who'd operate an entire national airline with a massive loss to make himself look a little bit better. In any case, it wasn't too long before we were starting our descent down into Bangkok. With a round of applause, we touched down into Bangkok, Thailand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bangkok International Airport. We are in temperature class 32 degrees. Thank you for your flying with Turkmenistan Airlines captain and his crew. We'd like to take goodbye and wish you all the best. Thank you for your attention.
My My flight from Frankfurt to Bangkok with Turkmenistan Airlines cost me the bargain price of just $1,045 or a little over £800 one way, which is excellent value for money given a non-stop Frankfurt to Bangkok flight usually starts at almost double that at $1,900 for a flight with Thai Airways. I booked it with an online travel agent called Turner.com, who are based in Turkey. I'm not entirely sure how legit they are, but they do seem to have tickets for sale on several lesser known airlines like this, and I'd never heard of them before coming across them looking for this flight. As far as I know, it's the only place that sells tickets on Turkmenistan Airlines without having to go to an actual bricks and mortar travel agent. Wow, we've survived Turkmenistan. Wow, that was pretty flipping cool, wasn't it? Right, let's get through immigration here in Bangkok, see what that's like today. Right then, welcome to Bangkok in Thailand. That was a really cool flight, wasn't it, with Turkmenistan Airlines. Not sure I'd be in a rush to try them again, but they were pretty cool anyway. If you ever get the chance to check them out, I would highly recommend it just the once, just to see what it's like. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, as always. Be kind to one another, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.